Shalom everybody, it's great to be back here again on Itamar Friday. Shabbat is on its way. Let's get to our Torah portion. Today we are going to talk about Parashat Pikuday, and it's a very special Shabbat since we are going to be completing the entire book of Shemot. Wow. Every time we complete a book of the Torah, we always say, as the reader of the Torah finishes in the synagogue, we say Chazak v'nitchazek. Chazak, chazak v'nitchazek. Chazak means strong, strong. Let's build up our strength. Continue being, it refers to the love of Torah, just to keep strengthening ourselves with the study of Torah, which is always so fabulous and amazing. The source of the name of the book of Shemot. What is the name? There's another name given by the Ramban. In this I saw a beautiful little explanation of Rav Drukman explains it. And the Ramban calls the book of Shemot the book of Geula, redemption. And why is the book of Shemot called the book of redemption? Because we may say to ourselves, after we left Egypt, that was redemption. But no, all the rest of the portions that deal with the receiving of the Torah and the building of the tabernacle, which of course is the mitzvah of building the temple, this is all part of the redemption. And there, of course, when there's a redemption, there are two parts of redemption. One is the physical redemption, we left Egypt, but of course the most important redemption is redemption for our souls by receiving Torah and building the tabernacle for the divine presence to rest in the tabernacle itself. And that is the height that we wanted to rise. And that's why the entire book of Shemot is called the book of redemption. There's also a great rabbi that preceded the Ramban, and had something very interesting. He gives names for the different portion, the different Torah books, and Bereshit is called Book Ishit. Shemot is called Sefer Hasheni, the second book, and Vayikra calls the book of the sacrifices, and Bamidbar is the book of Pikudim, the numbers, and finally Dvarim Mishneh Torah. But the question is, the book of Yikra, Leviticus, is really called the book of sacrifice because it's the book of the Kohanim, the priests. But our focus here is why does he call the book of Shemot the second book? Like, it seems to be, you couldn't find a better name to call it the second book. It seems almost in a way, God forbid, to be belittling it. But no, the Netziv of Volozhin explains the deep meaning behind the Bahag's words. He's saying that the book of Shemot is a second to the book of Bereshit. Bereshit discussing the creation of the world, and Shemot is a continuation of creation, because the entire creation was the purpose of receiving Torah, and purpose, of course, of building the tabernacle for the divine presence to rest in that tabernacle in Jerusalem and Israel. And this is where it's brought down that if, God forbid, we would not receive Torah, the entire world would return to null and voidness, because the entire world is based on the spiritual powers of the Torah, because this is the whole purpose of creation, for God's word to shine for the entire universe, and that it comes only through the Torah. And therefore the book of Shemot, which was actually coming out of Egypt into revealing God's word, the whole concept of speech, of dibur, was in exile in Egypt, and only that's why Pesach means the mouth will speak. We got out of Egypt, we were now revealing the word of Hashem, which of course was by receiving the Torah, and to reach the heights, of course, with the mitzvah, the commandment of building the temple, which of course is a place where the entire world at the end of days will become, and will see Hashem's light through the temple, which is to be built, will be a tremendous blessing, of course, for the entire universe. And this is again the deep meaning behind the Bahag's calling of the book of Shemot the second book. Another interesting idea of this week's portion begins with Pikuday, Eile Pikuday Mishkan. These are the accounts of the Mishkan. Was almost like a report given over here, and Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to do this report about every donation, every contribution that came to the Mishkan, to know exactly how much was collected and where it all went for. And this was a reflection, of course, of how one should work when he's dealing with, of course, contributions. And he brings down over here the person who's in charge of doing all this tremendous reports over here, the accounting work. And who was that? Itamar. The name, of course, of our community, Itamar, is named after this great son of Aaron, the high priest, who was in charge of doing all this accounting for the temple, as well as Bitzalel and Churi. And we see the beautiful idea. This is why it's called Edut, a testimony, because it's a testimony that when we're building a holy building, or anything we do, and relying on the tzibor, the powers of the masses of of the wonderful people that are coming to take part in this wonderful mitzvah, everything that's collected, even the little pennies, should be recorded and well listed in order to be, as we say, pure in front of the eyes of everybody, to show that everything was done in a proper fashion, the way those who follow Hashem do things. And that was a lesson, of course, opening the portion. Here we are finishing the entire book of Shemot. Everything is done, but no, Moshe Rabbeinu demands this accounting to be take place, because God, of course, trusted Moshe more than anyone in the world, and everyone trusted Moshe Rabbeinu. But this is how, in the eyes of those who may belittle and not know where things are, it's always good to put things on the front and be very, very open and with everybody. And this is a way we should all, of course, take to our personal lives and all situations. We deal with similar situations, and that's the lesson that the portion opens up, finishing the book of Shemot about that. And then again, of course, the book of Shemot ends with this verse, and it says like this. It says, I'll start a few verses before. It says, "Vayichas Hanan et Ohel Moed," and the cloud covered over the oil, the tent. Kvod Hashem maleit Mishkan, God's honor, His glory filled the tabernacle. Wow! Picture that amazing experience of the tabernacle being filled with Hashem's glory. V'lo yochol Moshe lavo el Ohel Moed ki shachan alav Hanan. Moshe couldn't even come close because the Hanan, the cloud, was covering over. Ukvod Hashem maleit Mishkan, and God's kavod, glory filled the entire Mishkan. Ubaloto Hanan mi'al Mishkan, and when the cloud would go up, Yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol maseim, the Jewish people would travel. It's very interesting. I thought of, and of course it goes on to explain, V'im lo yalem, the cloud would not go up, V'lo Yisu, they would not travel, Ki Hanan Hashem ala Mishkan, because God's cloud is over the tabernacle day and at day, V'eish tiyeh b'layla, and a fire will be at night, for the eyes of Israel and all their travelings. And this is how the book of Shemot ends. And I thought of, wow, what is the spiritual meaning of this whole Anan? Of course, God's presence is resting in the temple. But why is this the signal of traveling and not traveling? Well, this, again, I think sheds an important light on God's nation, God's people of Israel. When the people of Israel are at rest and they're encamped, God's light, of course, is upon them and is hovering over them. And when they're not at rest, when they're moving, the divine presence goes up. It's like when the Jewish people are not in a rest and they're not, they're not sitting and relaxing and then encamped, then the Shekhinah, the divine presence itself, is at unrest. And because the Shekhinah could have easily said, okay, God could have given us another way of traveling, of a sign for traveling, but the Anan had to go away, showing that when the nation of Israel is not at rest, God's presence is not at rest. And that's the traveling, of course, is always not easy to travel, to move on, and traveling is always difficult. And that pain that is felt by the travelers, of course, is felt by Hashem, because Hashem always doesn't want His people to suffer even the minimum suffering of traveling, even, which is a certain way a sign of rectification, of course, and a cleansing. But of course, it's a difficult thing. I thought that's a deep meaning behind the non-traveling, because as we know, when the Jewish people returned to the land of Israel, the divine presence will return to the land of Israel. When we were in exile, the divine presence was exiled as well. And right now, we have the wonderful privilege of returning to the land of Israel. Thank God, after the Holocaust, the Jewish people returned to Hashem's land, and we're rebuilding the land of Israel with all the things. Look what's going on, the turmoil of the Muslims all over the world, fighting and wanting to to create an atmosphere of democracy in their countries. But on the other hand, this turmoil and lack of peace and bloodshed, because the true leaders care only about themselves. They don't really care about the people out there. And the example of the Jewish people will be established in their land strong, and an example of what true leadership is, what a true nation is, worshiping Hashem in their land with morals and ethics. This should be an example for the other nations of the world. I just heard this week that Iran, the people around, were saying, "Where's Israel? Why aren't they helping us from Ahmadinejad, this guy? Israel should be helping us." Like, is that funny turning to Israel? But the Muslim turmoil now, which is going on, is part of the redemption process now. Again, these people are looking for something. They're searching. And they finally wake up and realizing that through this evil leadership of these leaders that didn't care anything about their people, really more about putting money in their pockets. It's the exact opposite of true leaders. As example of Moses over here, that is making an accounting of every single penny that it was built in the tabernacle was only for the presence, only for the honor of God, and everything we do should be only for the honor of God. But we don't do things for the honor of God, and we do it for the honor of other things, for ourselves and other terrible things. Unfortunately, the opposite takes place. This is the world right now being shaken up. The people out there are in tremendous distress, and the world should wake up. The world should wake up. It's a wake-up call. But of course, Hashem is pushing the redemption forward, and God willing, we'll be married all very soon for a great redemption. Well, it's been great to be back. Have a great Shabbat. It's great seeing you all again. Miss you all. Shabbat shalom. Shalom shalom.